This is a recording of this year's Virtual Residency Fair. We'd like to take the time to thank the programs that volunteered their time to present to this year's applicants. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap and Ultrasound Guidance. PM&R Recap is the leading resource for your physiatry board preparation, clinical preparation, audition rotations, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and oral board cases to help you become the best physiatrist that you can be. Head to pmnrrecap.com to learn more. Ultrasound Guidance is the innovative new online ultrasound learning platform that gives you instant access to expert instruction. With rapid scans and complete scans of every joint and peripheral nerve, Ultrasound Guidance is the perfect way to jumpstart your MSK ultrasound learning. Visit ultrasoundguidance.com to learn more.
All right, so we'll go ahead with this. Can everyone see this screen okay?
We can.
Okay, sounds good. So like I said, I'm Andrew John, joined by Bobby Tice. Bobby's gonna lead off. We're gonna just jump right to it since I know that we have some limited time. So Bobby, why don't you go ahead and take it away and just tell me whenever I need to proceed forward with the slides.
All righty, sounds good, Andrew. So yeah, my name's Bobby Tice. Nice to meet everybody virtually. And thank you to PM&R Scholars for having us tonight. So we're excited to present our program, which is Atrium Health Carolinas Rehab. So next slide. We're going to kind of give you an overview of the faculty and residents, the curriculum, why Charlotte, of course. We love it in our little neck of the woods, and some of the highlights of our program. So some of these are just photos of the city, of course. Next slide. So this is our administration. Dr. Crawford is our program director. Dr. Shao is our assistant program director, and Dr. Bachnick is our department chair. Definitely all accessible to us and lead our program well. Next slide. These are some of the attendings that we spend quite a bit of time with throughout our time here. Dr. Desai, who is one of our brain injury attendings, along with Dr. Crawford, our fellowship director, residency program director. Dr. Sai is somebody that we spend a couple months on peds with. Dr. Hirsch is the leader of our research department, and helps us come up with projects and connect us with great people to get our name out there. Dr. Bachnick is also our spinal cord injury fellowship director, in addition to being our chair. Dr. Pugh leads our cancer rotation, as well as some of our medical student curriculum. We get quite a few students, both from Wake Forest University, who we have a official partnership with, as well as lots of other institutions. And Dr. Raj is both our Cancer Fellowship Director and one of our leaders in the admin realm. So next slide. Here is a picture of our total residency. We are an advanced program and have 5 residents per class for a total of 15. We do offer 2 categorical PGY positions for the first year. So if you if you interview with us, you will be interviewing for those spots as well, which is nice. We have had up to 4 residents, I believe, out of the 5 a few years ago come to our attached hospital called CMC for their intern year. We also have a brain injury, a cancer, and a spinal cord injury fellowship. So for those interested in inpatient, that's a really nice perk, having those programs built in, and people get to know you right away. Next slide. Here is kind of a breakdown where everybody's from right now. We try to pride ourselves being one of the leading institutions in terms of rehab in the Southeast, but as you can see, we recruit well from the Mid-Atlantic, the Midwest, up north, and even a few out in California. And I think historically we've basically taken from across the country. So this is just the smattering we have now, but open to people from all places. Next slide. And this is our brand new rehab hospital in the background, which we have a couple pictures of throughout the presentation. We're excited about that. It just opened in the last about 8-9 months now, so state of the art, and get a catchment area from multiple states, North Carolina, of course, South Carolina, Tennessee even. So we see kind of the sickest and the most complex, which is a nice benefit for our learning. We are one of 12 CARF accredited programs, which is basically like the Joint Commission for rehab. So we are held to the highest standards, basically, is what that means. And we're the first program to attain that in cancer across the world. So there's a hospitalist for every patient at all of our sites. That's definitely something to ask all of your programs in terms of managing the medical issues. They're very helpful, as well as even, God forbid, running rapids and codes and helping us with those more critically ill patients. All right, next slide. And again, this is another picture of our beautiful new hospital, the David L. Conlon Rehab Center. We are right next door to CMC, which is our main hub down in downtown Charlotte, as I mentioned. Next slide. Here is a picture of a few of our current residents, PGY 3s and 4s now. So we all love hanging out both in and out of work, and have a very friendly program in general. I think that's one of our strengths, is that we're not just saying hi to each other once in a while. We do truly enjoy going to breweries, hanging out outside of work. Next slide. And then finally, for my portion, places that you'll spend some time. This is a program that you'll need a car, as for rotating and moonlighting, like Dr. John will touch on, Andrew. And so Carolinas Rehab Charlotte is the new hospital that we have highlighted already. There is also hospitals in Mount Holly, across the street at Levine Children's Hospital. So this is all on the same campus as well. Carolinas Medical Center, Levine's, and CR Charlotte, all the same campus. So those are nice and close. Mount Holly is a little bit further out. You get a different kind of census, which is interesting, unique populations. Same thing with the VA. Ortho Carolina is a local ortho group where we do a lot of our outpatient MSK rotations, get to see people do EMGs and epidural injections and things like that, along with the MSKI. So those two are kind of heavy on sports and spine and things like that, that we get really good exposure to some world-class attendings there. So thanks for, I'll stay on here and pass it over to Dr. John for the last half.
Great, thanks, Bobby. Also, Bobby, if you want to check the chat, I haven't been able to do it just since I'm sharing my screen. So if there's anything that comes up that's like mid-presentation, we can certainly answer it, but we can also just wait until the Q&A at the very end.
Sure. I'll be here for the rest of the time.
Sounds good. All right, so taking over from where Bobby left off. This is our general curriculum across the 3 years. Like Bobby mentioned, since we're in an advanced program, we start all our stuff as a PGY2. As you can see, the PGY2 year is probably the most dense with the inpatient side of things, and then it kind of starts to gradually incorporate more outpatient work as you advance through residency. There's a couple rotations here and there that are kind of flexible that can be done between the years, and so you can kind of tailor it in terms of what your interests are to get earlier exposure to certain subspecialties, and work with, like the chiefs, work with the program director in order to make that accommodation. So like these asterisks right here, like you can definitely move some of these rotations around so that you can get earlier on exposure, whether that's so that you can just figure out if you like it or not, or if you know early on and you are wanting to get more exposure for like a letter of recommendation or things like that. There's a lot of flexibility with that. Kind of some highlights to note for our curriculum is that every year as the new twos start on in their inpatient rotations, the new third years start off on the month with them as a junior supervisor. So they're helping out basically with the new twos, essentially holding their hand as they get adjusted to the new setting. And so it's been super helpful, and the residents always give really good feedback in regards to that there's a dedicated month where the PGY3s are on the same service and team as the new PGY2s to walk them in and walk them through things, help all that. Really helpful so that they're not just blasted with everything in the first month. Here's our overall call schedule. So we are a pretty unique program in that we have home call, but we also have post call the next day. And so the way that our situation works is that in general, when you're on call, you are covering multiple sites. So that's why you're not in-house. We cover 4 rehab hospitals that are separate, plus the PEDS unit over in the pediatric hospital. And so we're just fielding cross-cover pages throughout the whole night. It varies how often we get paid. There have certainly been times where people get the golden call night where they get like less than 2 calls the whole night. And then there are other nights where you might get like 15 calls. And so it kind of just varies and it's hard to predict. But for the most part, it's not too stressful and everyone gets the hang of it pretty quick. And then the nice thing is, even though it is home call, we do get that next day half day off. So you just come in the morning, do your rounding, all your regular duties, and then you go to noon lecture, and then you're off, which is pretty sweet. And then in terms of how frequent call is, similar to like how inpatient is more predominant as a PGY2 and gets lighter as you go on, same thing for the call schedule. So you do more as a PGY2, and then you get less as you advance through. So the 2s are the ones that cover the weekends the most, and then kind of go lighter and lighter from there. These are just some of the parts of like our academic curriculum in general. So noon lectures, we do have various different committees and curriculums on all these things right here. So lots of different avenues for people to learn, really good stuff. Here are some examples of just like some of the floral workshops, the ultrasound workshops. We have some Botox going on in this corner, so lots of different things going on. This is maybe a little late for folks who are trying to apply this cycle, but if there's any students that are earlier on in med school, we do have scholarships available for underrepresented groups. So our students from underrepresented groups. And so if you are interested in that, and are people who might be interested in doing like an away rotation with us, you can get that contact info right there, pass that along, and we'd be happy to have you, because we don't want the like finances or other things to be a barrier for you to get more exposure and opportunity. We are also very involved in the community around the greater Charlotte area. ASAP is our local adaptive sports the kind of organization. So we work a lot with them. We do like community cleanups. This is Cycle to the Sea, which is basically you go from Charlotte all the way to like the coast of North Carolina with some adaptive athletes who are on like hand pedal bikes. Pretty sweet. They're in way better shape than any of the residents. And so lots of cool things to be involved with in the community. Patch and AHEC are for like the local like elementary through high school students that are in areas where maybe they might not have good access to like science or healthcare exposure early on in their high schools or their schools in general. And so we can go in and do like some mentorship programs with students in those areas that are under-resourced. And then here are just examples of like just different resiliency, wellness events. We're really big on all that. So in this kind of right side, we have like a monthly like scheduled live around, which is what we call our happy hour with our attendings. So that is on a monthly basis. That just gives us an opportunity to just kind of put it on the books to always hang out with the attendings. But of course we hang out outside of that too, but that's at least like a scheduled thing. And then we hang out a bunch, but these are also these other things that are like sponsored through the program that they're generously letting us do things like at the Whitewater Center, which I'll touch on later as well. So some quick perks about our program that are fun to just think about, that are unique. That home call with post call the next day. There are opportunities for us to do moonlighting without extra like paperwork or stuff to go through, credentialing to go through. We get all these really nice things, free parking everywhere. We get a lot of meal stipend, and we are in like a greater Charlotte area. It's an awesome spot. So there's a lot of things to do in the area. This in-house moonlighting opportunities. Long story short, when you're on call, you're focusing only on cross cover, and then there's a separate resident who is handling all the admissions that come after hours, and they get paid for those admissions. So it's really nice division of labor. And why Charlotte? Well, Charlotte's a pretty cool place, constantly growing. Lots of things happening here. So if you ask anyone who lived here probably 5-10 years ago, very different place, but still very affordable relative to other big cities. So it's a good spot. Lots of good food, tons, like a gajillions of breweries and all that. I think there's actually over like 30 breweries in the city. Sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming trying to keep track of all the places. This is the Whitewater Center. That's one of our kind of unique local attractions. They have whitewater rapids where you can do that. There is a ton of trails, rock climbing, and just paddleboarding. There's like a calm water section. So really cool spot.
Just wanted to give you
All
your
right.
5-minute warning.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, that works out very nicely because we are at the end of our presentation. These are just some pictures of us just hanging out, ultrasound workshop here, some Friendsgiving time, and just another hangout over there. Here are our socials if you want to get in touch with us. That would probably be the easiest way to get in touch with us, and then we can direct you on who you may need to contact if you have other questions regarding like applying to the program, that underrepresented scholarship, or just like questions in general. These are the ways to find us. All right. I know I spoke pretty quick, but I wanted to make sure we hit all the kind of salient points. So if y'all have any questions, please fire away. Or Bobby, if there's questions, can you read them out to me?
Sure. We have one question. What kind of students would thrive, and can you highlight any individuals you see or as strong or aspiring role models? We have students from all different backgrounds. Honestly, one of our recent graduates was a military member that comes to mind, and then wanted to do rehab. So we do have strong connections with the VA, and that is a cool kind of connection. That's where she's actually headed to work. One of our role models, our faculty member that we voted as our faculty role model of the year and teacher of the year was Dr. Desai, one of our brain injury attendings. She is such a great teacher, cares about us inside and outside of work, one of our leaders of our resiliency curriculum. So those are just two quick examples.
Agreed.
Exposure to procedures and opportunities for further practice. So we have 3 physiatry specific faculty members that work at our MSK Institute through Atrium that we rotate with on our MSK rotation. So that's 2 full months. I'm somebody that's applying to Payne right now. Have been very pleased with my opportunities. And so we get to see all kinds of epidural steroid injections, MBBs and RFAs, ultrasound guided procedures, Botox, EMG. We have no problem meeting our numbers in any of those areas. Anything that you can think of, you'd be exposed to between there, Ortho Carolina, and you actually even have the option to do an away rotation, which I personally took advantage of. If you want to add anything, Snoop.
No, that's pretty good. I'm gonna speed through some of these quick fire and some of these other questions here now that I've stopped sharing my screen. So 2 category positions. So out of the 5 spots, we have 2 categoricals. So if you don't match in those categoricals, then you can still get the 3 advanced positions. So there's 5 total. So 2 out of the 5. Have you heard of the Rowdy Show project?
Warning.
Thank you. I have not, but that's another great thing to add. Let's see. There was that's you, Bobby.
One other one. So how receptive to direct didactic changes and community involvement opportunities. So Two specific examples that come to mind is we are considering moving to a half-day lecture schedule and are going to implement some of that over the next year. And our faculty and Dr. Crawford are very open to trying to make that happen because that's what the residents expressed they wanted to try. So kind of TBD there, but they're open to hearing our voice. And then community involvement opportunities. So our MedFest, where we do sports physicals for Special Olympic athletes, is one of the largest in the country and is expanding to multiple events per year. We held our most recent last spring, had well over 150 athletes, I believe. And so those are huge events that we have residency coordinators that it's cool to give back and cool to put that on your resume for in terms of things that you're involved in. How manageable is it for y'all when you cover 4 locations during call nights? So it's all just pages from home, so that makes it a lot more manageable. You're not driving to any sites for anything basically. I have never had to go in physically for call, and most of our residents that's the case outside of an emergency here or there. Is there support from other residents? Definitely, whether it's moonlighting, call. We have a group me chat that we kind of post in, hey, would somebody like to answer this? And somebody immediately responds, or within half an hour, you can get an answer to almost any question.
All right,
There is only
everybody,
one resident.
I hate to cut it off, but we are wrapping up for tonight. If there's any other questions, please drop your emails and contact information in the group chat. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to do that. And I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And thank all the programs and thank you for all the students. So good luck on this year's cycle.
Yeah, thank you guys. I will drop my email in right now. I know that it's tough to get all these questions in, and feel free to message us on Instagram as well or Twitter. We're pretty good at responding, so we'll try to get to all your stuff here or over there.
My email is also in the chat. Free to talk outside for sure.